So Bron Breakker has aligned himself with Seth freaking Rollins and Paul Heyman. It looks like a new faction's a brewing, but who else is going to join? Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. So I'm recording this Tuesday, April 22nd. It's just before 8 p.m. Eastern, so I have seen both nights of WrestleMania 41. And yes, I am in the process of making review videos for each night, but those take time, both in the creation and especially the editing. And I saw Raw last night, the Raw after Mania, and I'm not going to have the time to do an assorted thoughts on that video, despite it being a pretty monumental Raw after Mania. But in the process of all this, I decided to do a little quick video talking about essentially the ending of Raw and where we might go from there. After first CM Punk, then Roman Reigns came down to attack Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman, a mysterious stranger in a hoodie, speared both of them. And yeah, first of all, Bron Breakker really doesn't need to wear the hoodie when he's spearing people. We know it's him because he's the only one who has a spear like that. But we ended with Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman standing tall over their vanquished foes. Now, obviously, we're setting up a tag team match, Punk and Roman versus Breakker and Rollins for Backlash. I'm pretty sure. Bron Breakker, yeah, he didn't get pinned when he lost the Intercontinental title, but he's not the champion anymore. I think he's now clearly in the main event scene because this is clearly a main event faction that is being formed. But a faction is not just two people with a manager. That's a tag team. I think it's crystal clear Paul Heyman is forming a new faction because he has nothing to do with the bloodline. So who else is going to be in that faction? Let's speculate. The first choice is kind of an obvious one. Becky Lynch. Now, she turned heel on that very same Raw, and she pretty much turned heel in the same weekend as Seth Rollins. She would be, I think, a logical choice. Now, let's go through the pros. The pros, first of all, I'd love to see Paul Heyman cutting promos on behalf of and against female wrestlers. I think he'd be great at it. Now, I wasn't watching, 5 years ago. If he's done it before, you can mention it in the comments, but I imagine he'd be great at it. Also, I like factions that have female wrestlers as well, too. And the last pro is also a potential con. There is a natural real-world connection between Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. They are married and have a daughter. So, and that's known in storyline, too. It's known that they're married. Now, their stories don't usually intersect, but if they did intersect, it would be a natural fit, obviously, and I think it would be great because Paul Heyman cutting promos for the best. Now, Rollins is obviously a great promo guy already. Becky Lynch is decent with the promos too, but Paul Heyman speaking on behalf of them would be great. Now, the con, though, is that the fact that they're married in real life, if they, in storyline, they wanted one of them to split from the faction, that would make things a little bit awkward, seeing as everybody knows they're actually a couple. I mean, you could make Naomi and Jimmy Uso on completely different sides of the babyface heel equation. It doesn't matter because their stories are not intertwined. Here, their story would be intertwined. The other potential con is that with only one woman in the group, there's nobody else in the group that can really get physical to cheat. Get physical on her opponents to cheat on her behalf. They can do the manager stuff, the Dom Mysterio stuff, the Paul Heyman stuff, throwing in a chair, this and that. But at this point, if there's only one woman in the group, the physicality and the cheating on her opponents is kind of limited. Of course, she could definitely cheat on their opponents physically, so that wouldn't be a problem. Now, if we're forming a faction here, you probably need a tag team, which brings me to the New Day, or the New Day, or the New Heel New Day, or thank God for the New Day. Why they be a good fit? The pros, they definitely have the right kind of heel heat, but the heel turn, I think, has been badly managed. Maybe they were waiting for something like this. Even though they are clearly main eventers, they're a legacy tag team. They've been around for a while. They're WrestleMania match seemed almost like it should have been a Raw match. It didn't feel like it was earned. Putting them in a faction like this would propel them back to the main event scene. Just ask what the Bloodline did for the Usos. I think this could be the kick in the butt that they need to be the proper heels that they could be. The cons, maybe they don't want too many veterans in this faction. They already have Seth and maybe Becky, but they have Braun on the other side as sort of a new guy. Maybe they want younger people in the faction. Maybe they don't want a tag team in the faction at all. I don't see why they wouldn't, but or maybe they have other plans for the New Day too. So those are the cons. One of the things this faction is based on is sort of saving the industry, which brings me to my next possible member, Karrion Kross. Now, it's clear that they want to do something with Karrion Kross. That promo we cut on, I think, the WrestleMania review or something like that, even though it wasn't on Raw, it was clearly intended to show that he wants a bigger push up the card, trying to make it like the pipe bomb. He's also a Triple H guy, so he's one of those people that Triple H definitely wants to find a way to make work, and they haven't been able to do that yet. Now, the pros of having Karrion Kross, well, he seems aligned with the sort of motivation of Seth Rollins, saving the business. He hates the people like Logan Paul being in the business. Of course, you don't want Logan Paul to become a babyface against heel Karrion Kross, but still, he seems to fit. If the New Day are in it, well, he claims he was one of the ones that caused the New Day to do what they did, and he kind of did. He also, I'm sure, claims that he caused Seth Rollins to realize his true path. So he might be a really good fit. Another pro is the fact that he brings Scarlett with him. So if Becky is in the faction, there is another woman in the faction that can actually get physical and cheat with some of her opponents. The cons are Karrion Kross comes across as the person who likes to lead a faction, and he definitely wouldn't be the leader of this faction. That would be Seth, and the mouthpiece would be Paul Heyman. If he can adapt to that and sort of maybe be the recruiter, maybe cause a rift in the faction at some point, I think he'd be a perfect fit, and this would be a perfect fit for him, and this might just be what gets him over, because if he's in this faction, he'd be at that main event level. Something, even the mid-card has eluded him to this point. This would be definitely a jump for him and for Scarlett. And then there's Kevin Owens. Now, obviously, KO, if he does join this faction, it won't be for a number of months because he's injured. But I think that as they were planning this out, because I'm assuming they were planning this out well before WrestleMania, KO was factored in to be a key part of this faction. Obviously, things happened. He got injured. That's not possible. What would have been the advantages of KO being part of this faction? Well, it's Kevin Owens, and his narrative in the storyline is very much against the current state of the top stars in the company, the Cody Rhodes, the so-and-so. And even though he definitely has issues with the bloodline, those issues are with Roman Reigns and some of the members, and with obviously has issues with CM Punk, not necessarily with Paul Heyman. He might align with Paul Heyman to beat his former team, and also a Jey Uso is definitely somebody he has issues with. I'm pretty sure Seth Rollins is going to be going after Jey Uso soon, so it's a real shame KO got injured, because if not, I'm pretty sure he would have been part of this faction. And then there's Drew McIntyre. Now, a few months ago, people were talking about Seth Rollins, KO, and Drew McIntyre forming their own faction. So you know what? I think Drew might have been factored into this one for after WrestleMania, and Drew might still be a part of it. Now, the pros, Drew McIntyre, he definitely would make sense storyline-wise. He's never been anything but respectful with Seth. I mean, Seth has been a rival, but he's criticized Seth for not, getting rid of the CM Punks and the Roman Reigns soon enough. And if this faction is fighting with CM Punk and Roman Reigns, I can see Drew McIntyre aligning himself with this faction to help out Seth take them on. The cons, he's currently on SmackDown, but maybe that's a pro. Maybe they want to go beyond brand. Everyone else so far that I've picked is on Raw. Another con is the fact that maybe he's too big a star. But then again, this is a main event faction, so I could actually see it working out pretty well. In fact, I think Drew might be an addition to this faction. So who do you think might be joining up with Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Bron Breakker? Do you think I got it right? Do you think I got it wrong? Let me know in the comments. I don't really watch NXT. Maybe some NXT stars could join. Maybe you got Seth as sort of the leader with Paul Heyman as the brains. You got Bron Breakker as the muscle. What else is needed? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, jasoncmclean.bsky.social on Blue Sky. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to get all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown, which will resume now that we're out of the WrestleMania season, starting with this Friday's SmackDown. Also, wrestling opinion pieces like this one, and WWE premium live event prediction videos and review videos. And yes, in the next few days, you will get my well thought out, letter graded review of WrestleMania 41 Night 1 and WrestleMania 41 Night 2. That won't just be a little quickie like this one. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.